Whoa, wow, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming into Your Best You. You know me, I'm Dr. Kat from the live streams with Dr. Kat. It's great to have you back here today. We're right in the middle of summer. The weather has been so hot. I hope you're staying cool if you're in that part of the region, and if you're not, I hope you're staying nice and warm. Taking care of yourself is the major priority here on Your Best You. And today, I have a lovely friend of mine who's come be a part of the show with me. His name is Larry Mangello. Larry's here with us today. I'm so happy to see you, Larry.
Well, we certainly are glad to be here, Kat. You're always a pleasure to be with.
Coming out in this storm, though, huh, in the heat. I know it's a challenge, but thanks. Listen, now, my viewers, we've just started the show. We've been working on it for a couple of shows now, and we've been going up through our body chakras. So we have the chakra 1, which was red. We had the chakra 2, which was orange, and the chakra 3 was yellow. We did the cooking. Chakra 4, we did the heart. And we had a guest, and we talked about the heart. That was green. And now chakra 5, and that's why I asked you to wear a shirt that we're both wearing today, the Telescope Show shirt. Chakra 5 is blue. And blue is about the color of, well, I guess when I think about blue, I always think about the ocean. It's like the ocean sounds. It makes a wave. It comes in. It goes out. It has seasons. It has times. And when I think about our throat chakra, I think about there are times and seasons for us to speak. And speaking our truth is the major priority of the throat chakra, our ability to speak our truth and then our truth be heard. So for example, in history, when we had the woman who stood up on the bus and said, "I'm not going to sit in the back of the bus anymore," I would venture to say she probably wasn't the first person to do that. There was a sea of other people who did it, but there was no voice to listen. And then the cultural collective came to a place where we were able to listen and hear. When it comes to, and make change, big change, right? That's what we know. So Larry and I, we have a couple of things in common. We have both overcome some major health issues.
Oh, yes.
Which is what I'm going to have Larry talk about today. His ability to really be his best you, like phenomenally. And then we have in common the Telescope Show, our alien connection.
Yes, yes.
And Larry's been out west as well. So I'm going to just open the floor to you, Larry, to just start to talk a little bit about, you know, what happened and what stimulated you to take a strong change towards not just going in a negative direction, but moving towards a positive direction.
Well, you know, we unfortunately had a stroke, and it was kind of a question mark, you know, when you're sitting in the hospital and looking at a ceiling, you know, am I going to wake up tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then it comes across your mind that there's got to be something that's going to keep you going. And I kept thinking about all the things I want to do, you know. I like coaching the Little League kids. We produce TV shows, motorsport shows, and I kept thinking, how am I going to get back to doing this? And believe me, it was a long journey.
I can't even imagine laying for, did you say 40 days on your back?
40 days, yes.
Yeah, that is a long time where you are definitely in a state of connection with something other than just what's going on with you.
Absolutely. And then, you know, the good thing was I had a family that was always behind me. You know, everyone was just, they wouldn't believe that I would just do nothing,
Yeah.
And that helped me. I used to go to therapy, and they would bring a bat and ball in there to see if I could hit it.
Ha! Well, I know, because you're a baseball man.
Yeah,
You're out there with that, for sure.
And you name it. They started me in the pool, and it was a journey that I'll never forget.
Right.
But it brought out what I really want to do with my life, I think I told you when we first got here today that I had given Eric my 450th show, the motorsport show, just to give you an idea
That's
how long
a lot
it's
of
been
shows.
going on. And of course, our show, the Telescope View,
Right.
never in my wildest dreams ever would I thought we would do a show about UFOs and extraterrestrials. I mean, it's like an adventure every week.
Yeah, yeah. You think 40 days and 40 nights, right? That by itself is just an impactful number, because it's almost like it's a divine connection. You had a huge experience, and your family was there and supported you. And then when did you go to the desert?
Well, we went.
That was before or after?
That was before. We had a couple of trips out to Arizona and Sedona. It was really special, let me tell you. When they say vortex, they mean vortex. I mean, you're talking about another dimension.
Yes.
Without any doubt in my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was so enjoyable. Number one, it was maybe the prettiest place I have ever been, without any doubt in my mind. Little did I know that the UFO activity in that area is huge.
Well, that's why I'm making the connection, because as my viewers know, I've written the book Under Thunder Mountain, and I've been out there, and it definitely transformed me with my cancer journey that I took out there alone.
Yeah.
I, unlike you, didn't have family, but I did find that experience out there so transformative.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and then to see it come back full circle to the telescope show.
Yeah,
It's cool.
The show has opened up my eyes to so many things. I mean, Rick is beyond belief the most knowledgeable person I have ever come across.
We're talking about Rick Tullis right now with the telescope show. We're a mighty trio, and then there's the Steve Parker coming in.
Then we got
Steve
we
too.
got Steve. He's like the traveling salesman, I like to call him.
Yeah, but it's lifeblood. It's a beautiful
Yeah, it
thing
is.
because it is energizing, and it does bring us together in some unique ways. You were just saying to me, they're going to plan on storming Area 51?
Oh yeah, there's a big deal going on now. They want to storm Area 51, and Rick talked about it on Steve's radio show last week.
Yeah, that's on the Saturday morning program.
This is hard to believe. You got millions of people on Facebook saying they're going to go there.
Well, now, because the reason why I've brought that up is it's not just to be a titillating conversation about aliens, but in fact, one of the main topics on the telescope show is that there's been a lot of data. It's been collected for a long time since Roswell. That's about 50 years now, and the information is just being released, but it's 50 years of truths being revealed that were concealed.
Oh, the public was in the dark for years.
Exactly.
And now it's starting to come to light, and they're embracing it now, which makes it very special.
It is special. I mean, I think it's special, but I also think that it shows us how challenging this concept of truth is.
Yes.
I mean, I really have been going over and over in my mind, like, well, everyone says, oh, well, it's just so easy, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes truth has a time.
Oh, yeah, it's, there's two faces of it, the good and the bad.
Right.
And you have to embrace both. There's no in between.
There's an ethical kind of standard with truth, I think.
Yes.
So just because people have said to me, and this is why I'm breaking this down a little bit, unpacking it, because it's not always so quick to just jump to a conclusion, say, well, this is my truth, and blah.
Yeah.
Because, well, what if that's really harmful to the group that you're addressing? So for us, when we're speaking our truth, sometimes when we speak a truth, we'll say, well, that was a hard truth to hear, right?
Well, sometimes we don't want to hear the truth. We don't want to know the real truth. And that's the problem. You know, people have to learn that they have to accept who they are and where they're going.
But that's a self-exploratory journey for every individual that has to take that to come into an awakened place. And we live on a planet where everyone, evolutionarily wise, is evolving on different dimensions. We know this, right?
Well,
parallel universes.
Yeah,
and
we've been taught well.
so much programming.
Yeah.
And you know, and so these things that become our truths are conditioned into us from a very, very young time in our life. And so a lot of times they get recycled, like, you know, something that we knew, well, that's not good for us. And we knew that, and the truth was exposed. And then that generation dies, and then the same thing comes back. So there's this rinse and repeat cycle. That's what I'm saying, like, it's like the ocean. You know, it comes in, it has a voice. Sometimes it's stormy, sometimes, you know, truth, you know, rages. I think of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, where when she gets a chance to finally speak and come out of that. Calypso, you know, she comes out, and when she speaks, all these crabs come out of her mouth, right? Because her truth has been held down for so long.
Hollywood is a beautiful thing. Right?
Hollywood, we love Hollywood, you know.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So, but about truth, then it is a challenging concept, and one has to come to a really authentic relationship with your own personal truth, and that's a journey by itself. And then we have the circle of people. For example, when you had the 40 days where you didn't know what your truth was.
That's right. That's exactly right. I just, you know, and I just got, you know, more and more enthusiastic as time went on, because people were telling me, listen, you have to keep going. You know, this is not the end.
And that's a truth. And those are words that are spoken, and that's the throat chakra. So oftentimes we think, well, you know me, I'm going to say it all the time. Everything's energy. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. And then Tyler will say, don't forget matter, and Einstein. But I'm just saying that's energy for me. But okay, you know, so you have a thought, that's energy. Okay, I'm not going to make it. But then somebody comes and breathes life into you through the power of the word, you can make it. There's energy to that.
That's right.
You're beautiful.
Yeah.
I love you. These are uplifting, powerful words which bring people up energetically, and then we can use words that will destroy one another.
Well, yeah, I mean, the experiences I've had, you know, my first TV show when I got out of the hospital, I mean, I was in a sling, in a golf cart, I couldn't walk, and I needed another host with me to do the show. And luckily, I had a very good friend, Spikes LaGrice, and they call him Spikes for a reason. He's got hair that stands up like this, you know, and he did the show for me, and we got through it, you know. And then I knew from that day on, it was going to be good.
That was your pivot point.
Yes.
Now, what do you think, like, can you think of what might have happened at that moment that really made you know that, like, okay, now I got this.
Well,
I can do
knew
this.
Because we made it work that day.
Exactly.
Here I am. I couldn't even walk, you know. And we got through the day. We taped the show, and you know deep down inside that it's going to be okay.
Yep. So you got the soul confirmation,
Yep.
gut check we've talked about. Remember, I've talked about how your head can say something, but your gut can tell you something else. Sometimes your head, because it's been programmed, will tell you something, but it's not the truth, right?
That's right.
See, it's this funny little thing, and people will say, but listen to your gut.
Yeah, yeah. Now tell me something. Yeah, I know you write. Do you find that writing helps you mentally accept things better, or no?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question. You're probably the first person who's asked me that. For me, there's all different ways that writing has worked. For me, when I wrote Under Thunder Mountain, instead of writing my story, which I did not write because it was a horrible story, it really was. It wasn't pretty at all. It was terrible what happened. But I switched it around in hope and inspiration for the belief that we can do this a different way. So it's the journey and adventure of someone trying to find a path that could lead, because the things that I did in 2007 and 2008 for cancer weren't being done, and people didn't like me for doing it at all, you know, so it wasn't very pretty. But, you know, writing is a beautiful therapy.
You learned how to embrace it and to make it work. That was the most important thing.
For me, I think the most important thing that I wanted to do was to be able to get the message to everyone else that there was another way. That we didn't have to go through a pattern of standard of care just because this is the way we've been doing it forever. Or this is the way we need to do it because this is what we say we're going to do. When we can clearly see that there's another path that could be much better and healthier, and that could actually lead to healing. So I felt that the patient comes first. It's not about the industry or the pharmaceutical or the insurance companies. It's about each individual being a divine, unique creation, and that they have the opportunity to make a choice in what they want. And if you only give them one thing, they can't make a choice. So I was about, you know, I hope, being a part of a generation of leading that path and pioneering that through with that book. With this book I'm working on right now, that's going to be released this summer, that's like a little bit different of a story.
Oh, is that right? Now, what is the name of this book?
I'm not disclosing anything about that book right now.
That'll tell some tales.
That's going to be coming out, though. But, you know, as Rick said when he read Under Thunder Mountain, he thought he was in it, you know. Well, we love our telescope show because there's so much fascinating information about truth.
Yes, it is. I mean, you know, more than once I thought to myself, when we hear about these things that are going on, and we're actually seeing our future. We don't realize it. It's our future when you're talking about space travel and aliens and, you know, where do we come from? It's really, we're looking at our future.
And where are we going? It's a cyclic. I really believe it's a cycle. I really believe we're being cycled. We have cycles we've come through. There have been people who've come before us. There are people who are living beyond us that we can't even imagine. There are people we've had contact with that we know that makes it real. Okay, but then that becomes a personal truth until it becomes a collective truth. Like I was saying around the example with, you know, our history with, you know, the whole racist history. What was a truth once? We're like, wait, man, we're evolving. We can't like hold on to old truths that don't fit in the new paradigm.
Oh yeah, you have to always be looking ahead, you know. And you know what's funny? I was telling Rick the story when I was out in Arizona. We stopped to look at some Native American jewelry, and I started talking to one of the Native Americans, and he turned out to be, I think, the Hopi Indians. And he's telling me, he said, you better get ready. I said, why? What's the matter? He said, the Earth reinvents itself.
It's true.
Every so many years, and we're due for, I said, what?
Upgrade time.
Told me that was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah. Well, we've got the, you know, the Kachinas and the Sky People. We know through all the shows with ancient aliens and everything that's come out, these aren't myths.
Oh, no.
These are encounters that now through the technology that's been re-engineered from Roswell is pretty clear.
Yep.
We've had an encounter of the third kind.
Oh yeah, this is very real, and I'll tell you, I can't wait till this fall that we get back at it again and produce some new shows. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. And that's the stimulus that helps. I mean, that racing car action show, though, I post that on Facebook a lot because I'll share it every once in a while. That's your real passion. That's what pulled you through.
I've had a lot of fun. At Lime Rock Park and meeting people in the car shows, and I mean, it's just been a journey that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Really. You know?
And your wife, she's been there with
Oh,
you
yeah,
with the
right
cars
with me.
and
We used
everything.
to race, you know, one time.
I heard.
We used to drag race, and I could tell you stories about towing the car, my wife slapping me in the face, making sure I don't fall asleep on the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Oh, that's a tough road.
Oh, got some history there, let me tell you.
That's that 50 mile an hour. If you
Oh,
go
yeah.
over that, you're ticketed. I don't know what it's like.
Yeah, we've been up and down the East Coast, and I don't regret a minute of it. It's all was great.
Well, you're here. There's still so much more.
Oh yeah,
We have so many more
you know,
adventures to
oddly
go
enough, we have a grandson now who's go-kart racing, you know, and that's getting to be a lot of fun just watching him,
on. Yeah.
you know, progress.
Yeah.
You know,
How old is he?
he's 14.
14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what about spacecraft racing? Like you hear about these people that are able to take like this kind of drones.
Yeah.
And they're using the drones to do kind of like racing. Have you heard
Oh,
about
sure.
that
Oh,
yet?
absolutely. You know, one of the shows we're going to do in the future, we're going to have MUFON Connecticut representative on the show to talk about how they do investigations.
Okay.
And today, it's got to be really tough. I can't envision how many of these drones are flying around and people think they're UFOs.
Yeah. It's taken up a lot of airspace.
Because if
Makes
you're
it
not
confusing.
really, you know, you got to really analyze a picture, and it's getting tougher and tougher because this activity.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about our technology is going to have to always be ahead of what the general population is working with.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
That, yeah, I know. It's a great tactic to have the drones, but at the same time, it is invading airspace and making it a little
Oh,
challenging.
yes, it's going to get interesting, I'll tell you. I don't know how they're going to control that.
Well, we're going into this whole new like 5G where we're going to be
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
we're already, if we could really capture it, we probably are capturing it with the glasses where everyone can see what's, you know, the dimensions of the universe a little bit more, but.
You know, there was a question I wanted to ask you, Kat. You do some yoga things. How did you ever get involved in that?
I think I got started with yoga at Berlin High School in my English class when we had Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. And I started reading Hermann Hesse and Siddhartha, and at that age, that's when I started becoming involved with yoga.
Wow.
We had, remember the earth shoes? Yeah. Used to wear earth shoes.
Wow.
You know, that was so hip back then. But because, you know, I'm all about the feet, and I just think, and I said in the first show, our feet are so important because they're the first that we get out of bed, and then the last when we go to bed. So for me as a Pisces, feet are everything. But the feet are where we have all of the points, and we have all the points in our hands, and then we have all the points on the earth, and then we have all the points in the stars, and these are all the ley lines, and they connect with us energetically.
Now,
so that when we have like this new moon that we're having right now, and the big meteor shower that we're having when the comet, what is it? It's, oh gosh, it's Tuttle, what's the name of it? Well, it's where Perseids and the comet smashes, and we're going to have 60 meteor showers an hour in August around the 15th. So it's going to be a stargazing night, but we have all the meteor dust and we have all that that's coming down, and I think that as we are taking that in, there's DNA in that, and we're breathing that in.
There's some interesting theory about how we all started here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we
we'll
both
have to
know
get that. We'll be talking about that more on the Telescope Show, but I want to thanks Larry for coming here today.
Oh,
I
it's
always
been
love
a
it when
pleasure,
you come
really.
by and
Real
share.
pleasure.
I mean, here's a man that I've just met over this last year here at Nutmeg, and it was Nutmeg that stimulated your health.
Yes.
And here we are in a full circle, not knowing each other, and here we are. Isn't it a beautiful thing?
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you.
So that's being your best
You know, we cannot thank Nutmeg enough
We
for
love
all
Nutmeg.
they do. Believe me.
We love Nutmeg.
Yes, we do.
Thanks, everyone. And listen, if there's any last word that we would say, it would be just take every day as a blessing
and enjoy.
and enjoy.